Everybody, well, when I say everybody, I mean two people and a scammer, Pedro. Hello, scammer Pedro. Who did you scam out of a MacBook today? Did you convince some poor innocent person that the A1502 with immaculate screen was only worth $150? Did you do that? Did you do that? I imagine you would have, Pedro. I know you can't control the urge. You're out of control. And 8787's here too. And Sotterbridge. And Elon Ellison winning. Alright. I'm just doing a quick clean up here, then we'll get to the job. This is a machine that I've had in for quite a while. It's a 820-01700 board. It was the one that we ended up with just a tiny bit of corrosion here, and it destroyed the regulator for the VRAM, for the not for the VRAM, the solid state drive. And sure enough, once I put the new controller on, it started getting hot in other places, and it turns out that this is 128 gigabytes here, and it's got a nice little short on 1v8. So I'm going to see if I can get a replacement one of these and put it on. So the data's as good as gone, for the best I can tell, but we may be able to actually get the machine to work again. I don't know. Given how expensive the machine is, it may be worth it. Like, it's a $50 chip. Give it a shot. Put it on there. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, we learned something. So I'll just put that aside. I'm done with that for today. And then I've got to rebuild that BIOS one that we fixed up last night. And then we can get on with the main board. I tend to do things in this pattern because it gives a chance for people to get onto the stream before I do the work for the night. So basically I'm penalising the punctual people, because that's how the world works. You penalise the people who do the right thing in order to make the people who do the not so right thing happier. Yeah, 999 is actually the limit in terms of is it a short or not. Then as far as the world is concerned, 999 is an open circuit. Right, let's get this thing back together. Travis, why would I punish you? I mean, well, I guess because you're a person who's always here on time. It's normal, the good kid in school gets held in class late because of the bad kids. Maybe it's an intentional programming thing. Teach do-gooders that they're going to have to deal with other people ruining their lives, and prepares them to be on the offensive or defensive a lot more. Okay. Where are my glasses? Glasses. There we go. At 3x, Michael Kiram. Ah, Pelnov's here. Still no one confirmed that you can actually swap NAND chips on T2 as far as I know. First problem is finding them. Well, those chips there, looks like we have found a source anyway. It seems like the iPhone 11 Pro Max has them, as well as the iPhone SE 2020. So we'll be able to get the chip, but we'll have to see whether it actually works or not. And I don't like my chances of being able to read any information off the old one, given that it's got a fairly good 1v8 short. Hey, we're on stamps. Am I right in that I haven't seen you in a little bit, or have I just been ignoring you all this time? I forgot to squish down my thermal paste. Squish, 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 squish. Right. That should have about formed something close to vacuum lock by now. Good kids bring the teacher an apple, bad kids bring the teacher flowers and a date. Hey Sinclair, you only had one chip populated. I think it was 2 chips pound of one on each side. It looks like you can have up to. I think, well, let's go get that board again. So there was that one. That's interesting, actually. It's got 2 there. Though I'm not sure if that'd be the same. Yeah, that's a 4772. That's a 4772. That's a fallen chip. 4772, 4772. That's weird. So we got 4 here. So that's 512 gigs. So what's this one for? So we got 5, and this one is just like extra parity or something else. I wonder what that is for then. Because yeah, we got 4. We got 2 and 2 on the other side, and then 1 over there on its own. Now that makes things interesting. Hey Paul, how? And that's definitely how it came in. I have not removed any other chips from that board. Spare parts. It could be some sort of local... No, I don't know. I should try and boot it without it. Over provisioning is a possibility, though I would have thought they would... Yeah, I mean, that's possible. Wow, I actually feel very oddly disorientated at the moment. Cecilia, yes, I've heard that. Apparently it's something to do with the new hot air controller that he's got. Hot air workstation. The Atom. I don't know why he's using my name in vain like that, but he is. I think it's essentially to give himself another reason to be angry at me when he sees all the lost profits due to the fact that everybody's capitalizing on that code. And then he can message me and say, do you realize how many hundreds of dollars I've lost because of you? Hey Sabatino. Customer wants to save money on repairs by providing his own parts. That is a living hell. I'm sure any of you have been in the business long enough will know that as soon as a customer starts wanting to offer you their parts, you run away, you kill the deal, you try everything you possibly can to get out of that possibility. Hey Josh, welcome. And Crazy Joe's here too. Keith, did I see Keith McDermott come in here? Andrew Hughes is in here. Seems like we're all turning up, everybody's back at work, eh? Yeah, Pedro, cashing in my notoriety. You should use your name instead, because at least that would be a more legitimate form of notoriety. James Ewing, Christian. And Ricardo De Sena. Wow, everybody is turning up. I'm not going to get a word in edgewise between calling out your names. This is the one that we had the battery charge lag on, but it did eventually start charging just after we gave up. And it had the BIOS chip issue that we copied across, and it's been through the ultrasonic cleaner. This is why I'm now putting it back together so I can hopefully get it shipped out tomorrow. A 10-minute. Wow, that is a very long screw. Sometimes you just pick up a screw, you put it into the board, and you kind of feel like, that's going to punch its way through to the keyboard if I keep going. Pedro, I don't really want to know what possible things people could call you and you'd still be happy with. That sort of stuff stays in your room. Yeah, Christian, that's right. Yes, Fluxbox is a fork of Blackbox. I originally started with Blackbox, and then Fluxbox sort of jumped ahead and added in a bunch of things that I was always having to manually add in with Fluxbox to get it how I wanted. So naturally I jumped across to Fluxbox. I think it's just me being paranoid, working on too many iPhones. Hey Wade, every time I see your name, Wade, I always of course think of Wade Wilson. Okay, I've got a screw missing. Maybe this is it. I'll do it. I've been having a fun conversation with GW Instech, which of course are the people who supposedly manufacture the multimeter that I've got. I sent them an email asking if they could do a flash revision, a firmware revision that would add some sort of an SCPI command that would allow me to permanently enable the front panel even though I would be communicating with the device through the USB port. And that was a very frustrating email, and it became even more frustrating today. So I'm fairly sure I recounted yesterday that they said to me, why don't you only poll it? Oh, sorry, no, they said to me, yes, this is correct. If you poll the multimeter through the communication port, it will lock the front panel, press the local button, or submit the SCPI local command to regain access. And I said, that's fine, that works. I already knew about that, and I already told you I knew about that. But I poll it every about 200 milliseconds, so I can't press the front panel in that sort of window of time. So they messaged me back today, and they said, if we understand your email correctly, you rapidly access the multimeter. How about you only access it maybe every 3 to 5 seconds? And I'm like, I said, I already told you I use it to do high-speed polling, so up-to-date values and all that. And then they said, if this is not going to work for you, why don't you try use a handheld meter that has a RS-232 interface? And I'm like, what? Why? Who am I talking to here? This sounds like a programmer who doesn't want to modify their code, or I don't know. It's very frustrating dealing with people like that. So because you're trying to explain to them what's going on, and you give them all the context, or a reasonable amount of context, and then they just go back and essentially feed that context back to you and tell you that you probably shouldn't be doing it that way. And I'm like, so I said to him, there are other meters that do this. I mean, the dodgy the dodgy multi-comp, which is really an O1, that let me do it. That's no problem there. The Vicky 8145 lets me do it. Speaking of which, I actually ordered another Vicky today. I ordered an 8145C, which is the USB-C version. I think it's like $200 Australian. You may think I'm a bit of a madman, and I am, but The main reason I want to do this is I want to see if I can make it work smoothly enough with the USB-C USB port on it that I can maybe kind of recommend it as this is a really budget benchtop multimeter if you're doing this kind of repair work. The Vicky is not really a meter you would use for proper measurement diagnostics of precision circuitry or things where you need high amount of accuracy and dependability. When I say dependability, I mean it's not going to drift in value over the course of a year or two and things like that. I don't believe you can even get them calibrated, or at least I'm not sure of how to do it if they can. But it will be at least a benchtop or desktop version of a multimeter that will provide the facilities that we need. The main thing that the Vicky really has going for it is that it's damn loud when it hits continuity, and it's really fast on the continuity. Aside from that, it does have fundamental communications with the PC. It doesn't lock the front panel, and hopefully the code for my old one, which is a serial version, will work for the new USB one. We'll find out. Probably take a month to get here, but yeah, it was about $200 Australian for me to buy it. I thought I'd give it a shot. When that's working, I may just have it as a giveaway on the channel. Yeah, no kangaroos, sorry, Tricker. They're outside, actually. They're in the paddock. I can see them jumping around, but yeah. Hey, Jim Hooks here. Sorry, Jim. I was going to message you, but I thought, damn it, Jim's... Then again, I should trust you to turn off your phone if you don't want to be disturbed. But I'm sort of lacking in trust in general these days. Not to any person in particular, but just to the universe. Be very glad to don't have to communicate with Microsoft techs. Have done that in the past, and yeah, you're right. It's just extremely frustrating. It's almost at times like, say you're talking to these multimeter companies, whatever, tech equipment companies. It's almost like you're talking to people who have no idea what tech equipment is. It's like, oh, you're using a multimeter, right? What profession are you in, or do you know how to use a multimeter? Have you considered learning electronics? It's like, why would I have a multimeter if I'm not involved in electronics? I understand there's certainly going to be a lot of people who get started and they don't quite know what they're up to, but when someone actually sends you a reasonably competent email, of course I'm evaluating my own quality of communication there, and then you talk to them as if they don't know what they're doing, it irritates me because it wastes my time more than anything else. So you spend the first 3 or 4 emails just drawing up the battle lines between each other, and then after that you get handed off to the next level tech and start it all over again. Wade, the reason why they do the front panel lock is a data safety matter and possibly a safety matter. To give you an example, say you've got the meter in use and you're recording some sort of long-term data, and I have not put the solid state drive in. If you're recording long-term data or something like that, then you don't want anyone fiddling with the front panel. You don't want someone accidentally knocking it, changing the parameters or the mode. The other reason why they lock the front panel, well, yeah, you just don't want a switching mode. It's as simple as that. I don't really need to give any more reasons. But I would like it if at least you had the option. You should be able to, through the SCPI commands, disable, at least for this current session, the ability or the feature of locking the front panel. I'm sure you've had the same experience when people send support requests for chargeback. Oh dear God. Fortunately, I will admit the chargebacks, ever since I put the price up and I put in the questionnaire for the purchase process to enable the purchase button. I think I've only had one chargeback, and that was just someone who was expecting me to fix the problem that was specific to their machine. It was a driver fault in the end, AMD driver fault. They wanted me to get it fixed in like 24 hours or something like that, and I was like, seriously? So that's not a realistic request. I'll certainly, I will do my best to try and resolve the issues ASAP, but I'm not going to pull miracles out of my butt. Certainly not over that price. I know for some people $139 is quite a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's pocket change. And if you are repairing MacBooks and you're finding $139 a little hard to swallow as a once-off cost, then you might want to look at your pricing structure. I should put a lock like an SD card for that mode. Yeah, something like that, yeah. Some sort of mechanical switch. But, like I said, they could easily just simply put it in the firmware, a command that simply says inhibit front panel lock, and yeah. Barry West, did you manage to get all the data on your employees to the bank? Oh, yeah, that I never got a true answer as to what it was they were after. And in the end, I just sort of short-circuited the conversation and said to the bank, I said, what other documents do you require from me now? And they came back, I think it was yesterday, and they said, we don't require anything further from you. We're content with the information we have. Thank you very much. So now at this point, we just have to have the house evaluation, and hopefully that'll be next week, and hopefully I will find the energy and inspiration to try and reduce the level of hillbilliness here. It's such that the evaluator goes, yeah, it might be worth the amount you're paying. Hope. Okay, we've got a bong. You shouldn't just assume that because you fixed it before and it was working before the ultrasonic that it's going to work after the ultrasonic. You blame Pedro for hello Margarita, by the way. Hey, I actually haven't seen you for about a month and a half. Turning me into a grumpier old man. Grumpier. I appreciate the fact that you said grumpier as opposed to grumpy. That was nice of you. I would be less grumpy if the bank didn't give me such hell. Oh, this is not good. Okay, we've got nothing coming up on the solid state drive here. Damn it. Every damn time. That's what I get for screwing the panel in. Alright, so at this point, let's see. No lights on power adapter, IO board has been replaced. Okay, I'm kind of curious what might have killed that. I guess we'll put in a known working solid state drive and see if it boots. And if it doesn't, then we know we've got more work to do, that we've got perhaps a solid state controller issue, power issue, something. Or we've got a dead solid state drive. Yep, got to crack it again. Like I said, it's almost a guarantee. If you are presumptuous enough to seal up everything without testing each individual stage, it will demand that you do it. Probably didn't use that long screw. What a pain. It's a Samsung drive, so it's a bad start. Chances are, fingers crossed, it's just a dead drive. Not good news for the customer, but yeah. Alright, let's see if we can find one. And this is the 3437, so I wonder if they... I might check that, just in case it's actually an APFS. Maybe they put it in as a test. This is Nash. That's one of Ben Nash's contraptions. Now, if it still doesn't boot now, what we'll do is we'll put the boot stick in, the macOS one, and see if we can at least see the device. Give him an OWC. Oh, you're a harsh man. You're brutal. Ask Dave Jones for a loan of his new hammer. I have not seen that new hammer yet. And I wonder this takes forever to boot. It's 3437, so it's got to go through the spin, stop, spin process. Hey, Mike P from Canada. Welcome. Now, the only thing is I'm pretty sure this is APFS. What is it? It's Pero from Croatia. Crikey, people coming in from all over the world today. Did that just reboot on me? Oh, that's right. We're having dramas with the contacts on the MagSafe, I believe. Okay, shut you down. Start you up with option mode. Hey, Restordrum and Solaris. Okay. Well, we're definitely not seeing that other drive yet. It'd be nice if there was a way to check what firmware EFI is available, whether it's got the APFS support or not. And it'd be even nicer if I had a way of reliably or easily updating that EFI to support APFS without doing a complete reinstall. Hey, the DMX from Nambour. It's a little closer to home. A PR from Wales. Does anyone actually speak Welsh over there anymore, or is it being brutally converted to English? Oh, Damaris is here. How's it going? Let's see. Someone, I think in Japanese. Do you think it's worth fixing something that old or just get a new one? Wait. Are you talking about this board? Yeah, they're still worth fixing. Okay, we do have a drive here, an internal. Ah, yeah, and it's APFS. Okay. So, for whatever reason, this looks like this EFI doesn't support APFS. Now it'd be nice if I could, from this boot, update that flash to support APFS. And I'm kind of hinting here that Pernov just tell me what the magic trick is, but I don't think there is. Some do speak Welsh. Probably, you know, in their little hidey hole special pubs far away from the crazy English. Well, I'll put in the other solid state drive and see if it shows up as well. You can set up an AST 1.5 server and then use the boot ROM updater. Yeah, see, that's... I'm not going to bother doing that. So, in other words, what you're saying really to me is I'm going to have to stick with using the High Sierra install technique. That's okay. You tried to help. Is Tom Jones still alive? That's the one Welsh person that everybody knows. Is he even truly Welsh? Then again, pretty much all the Welsh people can sing like Tom Jones. He just happened to be the lucky or unlucky, take your choice, one that everybody got to know about. Autodidact, yes. I am the one that Lewis Rossman abuses, yes. That was assertive, that beep. Bong. Jason. Did someone say Jason? Does that mean SDS is in here? Oh no, Jason Cozzy. Hey, is it... When you fart, it smells like burnt capacitor. That is terrible. Yeah, Panov, yeah. I think I'll still pass on that, because at least with the High Sierra install, it's something I can just set and forget, and I don't have to worry about having the server set up or anything like that. I mean, I agree, it's probably got other useful things like you've said, but on the balance of things, considering I only encounter this maybe once every month, it's probably not worth it. Hey, Alexis. Wales will be independent soon with any luck. England is now a fascist state. Oh, again. Actually, I shouldn't say that. No. I do wonder how much lifespan there is left in the royal family situation. Yeah, that's interesting. This is an APFS. Curious. Then yeah. I'm curious because we changed the BIOS chip, or the EFI chip, but we copied it across. So either this solid state drive was not the original, or I don't know. Hey, Tony W. This is a Samsung, this one, which means it's doomed anyway. But I digress. All right, so we'll lock this back down, and then I'll put it on the High Sierra. No, I can't lock it down if I'm going to do that. Damn it. This is delaying me from doing what I want to do. I'm going to put in 2 screws and go set it up on the bench behind me to do what it's got to do. And this is the customer's original drive. It's got the sticker on it, so we're not going to overwrite their data, in case people are starting to freak out about that possibly happening. And with good reason, these things do happen. I've got to find my High Sierra. I can almost guarantee it's downstairs. Mem check. How useless. Yep, my High Sierra installer is downstairs. Why I don't have 2 copies of it, I really couldn't explain to you. Alright, that's fine. We'll just set that job up to be done tonight after I've finished here. And we'll get on with the other things that everybody is interested in watching, rather than me waffling on like some lonely old... yeah, whatever. Next job. Where are you? What have we got? 1502. Battery rarely accepts charge. It's 3476. Some corrosion. Fun. Okay, this might actually be a real repair. Nick, as far as I can tell, the Samsung drives are all basically just doomed. Their controllers have this tendency of just dying. So typically when we do see when we do see one come in, we advise the person that they're essentially working with a time bomb. Hey Eric, oh, you got the 866 2 Plus, cool. I know there are some technically better programmers and such, but I find everybody knows the 866, so it's kind of handy to have a more common tool. And that way if you run into any issues, people can help you out. Come on, come on, come on, come on, get out. Hey Luke, Mac 84. Let's see. Glasses. There's another Samsung drive on this one. So the battery might have been replaced at some point. Might have been. Someone's had a sticker on this as well. If you get an orange light, no charge boot on the 1502, is that the charging circuit? Orange light does sort of kind of indicate that it's trying to charge, but it doesn't guarantee it is. There can be other factors messing with it. Did I bring up this job? Nope. There we go. Jacob, do you know where I can buy the mini program? From eBay. They are absolutely everywhere on eBay. You type in 866 and they're everywhere. Very, very common. There's a few different variations, but which one have I got? I've got the Mini Pro. Yeah, mine's the 866 CS. It seems to be perfectly fine. I think you need to get a daughter board for the 1.8 volt chips though, but other than that it's fine. I just noticed the cover plate for that is missing, so hopefully I'll remember that. Otherwise when I come back to putting it together I'll run around thinking that I've lost the cover plate. Hey, bikes, cars and guns. Okay, we've got a screw missing up the top of the fan assembly too. Yeah. So this board has been inspected, or I should say the machine has been inspected. It doesn't mean it's actually being worked on. A bit of a difference. I don't mind if the shops that send me these things have inspected the machine. In fact, I often prefer it if they can at least have a look. See if they can spot anything blatantly obvious. Okay, that... Why are you free spinning in there? Ah, because it got torn off. Yeah, I think someone tore off the little stud mount on that. Hey Tux. Or they put the wrong screw in. I think it's the wrong screw. It's too short. And they had the keyboard backlight crushed down. I thought I just subconsciously had flicked it off, but clearly I hadn't. It was crushed. Okay. C1910. It might be a no stuff. I doubt it would have been knocked off. Okay, I can see there's some liquidy stuff going on here. Maybe they have actually tried to rework something. Hey English, welcome. They're still fighting the daily warlords of the bank. Okay, there's definitely some activity going on here. That's flux. Ach, niemand. Okay, we've got corrosion right there on that. That's a yeah, a little MOSFET. Got corrosion on the clock circuit. Okay, I know what's happened here. Clock circuit's dead, and that cap there would be our 3v3 RTC decoupling cap. Without that, it'd be a bit of a nightmare. I'm using the why it relates to the charging, so there's got to be something else playing up here. Unless it's a misinterpretation of the symptoms. Okay, well, it's been something smeared across there. Okay, I'm guessing someone's been trying to do measurements and they've got a fairly large tip and it's just sort of mashing against. They might not have a microscope or something. Alright, yeah, okay, there's the ISL problem right there. That's probably a shorted cap, or at least close to short. Something's wrong with it anyway. Mad Repairs, Madeira. Thank you. Okay, let's have a look at the values. Ah, Basil, didn't see you there. Ah. Alright, it's not shorted, but I would say there's something definitely wrong there. We've got corrosion there. So say we've got corrosion back there too. Let's say we lift the ISL and replace it just out of an abundance of precaution, and then also fix up the RTC as well. I'm surprised it's going anywhere with that RTC looking like that. Without that cap, it'd be a very unstable 3-volt line. As soon as the PCH puts any load on it, not that there should be much load, but as soon as any sort of load gets on that rail, it will tend to jump around a fair bit. At this point we just simply have to choose what we're going to attack first. Yeah, Crazy Joe already said I'm going to fix up the ISL, and we've got this little fellow here, which we need to have a look at and see what that is. Say 3476 was it? What are we looking at? Just up by the SMC. There we go. 5158. CPU thermal trip. Okay. Now that would cause it to misbehave. if it's got issues, force it to shut down, or yeah, all sorts of things. Okay, let's get some flux and boil and remove and replace. Crazy J, you trying to hide your comments there? Oh, Jason, that's a terrible thing to say. Fairly sure the crystal should be okay. This is one line, this RTC 3-volt output. It's one little regulator that you really don't want misbehaving. It will destroy your PCH on a bad day. And we're going to have to see how far back that corrosion is on that trace. We'll just grind it all the way back and put a new set of stuff on it. Unfortunately, the line that we care about is the one that's gone missing there, so that's a problem. Because as far as I know, on most of these machines, the RTC 3v3, it pretty much disappears into the board until it pops up by the PCH. Wow, that totally didn't take any solder. What's going on there? Oh, Wick all of a sudden is not working quite so well. Trying to blame Chris Long for something for a change. It's got nothing to do with the fact that I'm using a completely inappropriate soldering tip for this task. Yeah, I'm stuck there. It's all good. It's all good. Under control. Yeah, exactly as I planned it. Okay, we might be lucky on this board that the veer that goes off to the rest of the board is actually in this little lump here rather than under the cap itself. On the 3437 and the 165s, the veer is directly under the cap, and that makes it very prone to being eaten out and leaving you with a dead nub. Ah, I hate it how these boards wobble all over the place. Come on. And someone broke their tip off. Well done. It's like I'm going through a blade every couple of days now. Come on, come on. Ooh, ah, sharp, pointy end, wrong end. Uh-oh. I've messed up the dispensing box. So now I have blades just falling out all over the place. I'll fix this up. Okay, that's safe. Into the rubbish. Okie dokie, we are back. Makes a huge difference when you got a blade that can actually scrape properly. Yeah, this is borderline. That nub, yeah, I think it's just falling short. You can see the veer nub there, and you can see the track there. Just going to put some solder paste down on there, reflow it. Hopefully it can reveal a path that is viable. Oh, that's excessive. Massively excessive. Hey, what the? So here we go. It doesn't matter if it's, a big lump of solder there, but as long as it makes a join between that nub and the trace. I'm just giving it a chance to form into something useful. Yeah, that's not taking. Alright, let's go to schematic. Where's our nearest? We've got a test pad on that side. That's probably going to be our best bet. Otherwise, we can run a wire across the board. And this is straight to the resistors, also the PCH area. What have we got over here? We've got another test pad here. Actually, it might be It might be more practical to take it over to there rather than trying to route through these areas here, because this is quite high density. So it might be more realistic to, if I want to stay on the one side of the board, to go over to this test pad here. I could do this one, but like I said, I've got to go around the board. And I generally have a disinclination to cross over the board boundary. Damaras, it's been worked on. The visual side of it's pretty much done, but the open board data side is being worked on. There's a lot of work to be done on the server side as well. Maybe that has actually made a connection. The question is it really a sufficiently viable connection? Is it something that's going to survive? That's what you got to wonder. You know, it's no point having this glass-like hair of a connection that as soon as someone bumps the board is going to disconnect. So I think realistically we do have to run a new run a wire. I'm just finding myself a donor. Something reasonably close. Yeah, this will be. Well, this is a donor that has actually... looks like it's a refurb from the past. Alright, okay, alright. Weird. Ignoring the fact that this is corroded to hell, but... the reason why I say weird is because that cap is actually missing. There. Ah. Go back to the schematic. Unless I stole it. It's not listed as a no stuff, and I can't imagine why they wouldn't no stuff it. I would put a cap there regardless, in fact. What do we got? 201 1 microfarad. I'm just going to take it from my supply. Let's see, 402, 402, 402. Yep, well there's a reason why all these caps are 402 in this box, because the box says 402. And there was another box in the stack laughing at me which says 0201. Now we have the 0201 box. So best I can guess that, okay, we've got a 1 microfarad 10 volt, that'll be fine. I must have possibly stolen it for a previous job. Yep. 1 microfarad 10 volt, that'll be fine. Damn hair getting in my face. Okay, microscope. Need number 4 cut. Now my wife would not, she would not stand for that. I would be homeless if I did that. She prefers me to be far more the natural bushman looking type look. For what reasons I don't know, but that's what she wants, so therefore she gets. Probably help if I actually turn up the heat. I do not need a tat, thank you very much. I don't need to have some sort of obscure symbology on my body to yell at people and say, you don't understand my tats, man, that's my story. So, okay. No offense to people who have tats, but it is funny that you get a lot of people that get them for interesting reasons. Still, it's their body, their choice. It's not something I personally am interested in doing. And I rode a motorbike. I still got my motorbike license. In fact, I got my motorbike license before I got my car license. The PLD logo. Yeah, I should probably try that. That'd be about the only thing I'd get. Funnily enough, I sort of, at this stage, I feel like now I'm becoming the unique person in the crowd because of the fact that I don't have any such markings. It's like, so what's up with that dude, man? He's got no tats. He must be some kind of freak. It's hiding something. It's got those shifty eyes. So it's funny how over time you go from being the norm to the abnorm. No piercings, no thank you. I like me as I am. I don't have any compelling reason to modify what I've got at all. Okay, look, there is one thing I would like to modify, and that would be for me to remove my spare tire. And that is really a case of being a responsible adult and getting out there and actually doing some damn exercise and getting proper sleep. I'd say sleep more than anything else is actually my primary issue. Well, you're not the same board. I think in the last few days I have barely had more than 3 hours of sleep. It's ridiculous. And the worst thing is around about... Well, this is the board I just... That's hilarious. Come around about, say, 1 o'clock in the morning, or 11 o'clock at night rather, I start to get pretty lively and I'm like, I'm awake, I feel alive again and invigorated. And so naturally I go ahead and do all sorts of work that I probably shouldn't be doing. Quit coffee? No, I don't have enough coffee to consider quitting it. I don't have that much coffee. I mean, most days I have 3 homemade cups of stovetop mocha pot coffee. That's it. So it's not like I'm sitting there on the percolator or the drip filter and just drinking it endlessly. Besides, I figure we all have at least one vice. I gotta admit, sugar is my vice, I guess. Yeah, I don't drink, I don't smoke, but sugar is probably my weakness. It's the only way I get to stay sweet. Okay, I need a little more flux down there. See you, Jason. Oh, g'day, JCT. Thanks for being here, Jason. Geez, everything's floating around there. Yummy steak. See, that's why I don't understand why you don't like pineapple on pizza, because yeah, that's just delicious, more sugary goodness. It's like having soda and pizza in one hit. So you're a very strange man, the way you completely dislike having pineapple on your pizza. It makes me think you are against it so much. I'm starting to suspect you're actually one who rings up the pizza parlor under a fake name and delivers to an abandoned warehouse just so you can have pineapple on pizza. It's like you've invested so much into not being the pineapple pizza eater. You've become the thou doth protest too much. And so now I really think that you are actually just ashamed of the fact that you do like pineapple on pizza. Well, pineapple pizza is like a staple diet for most Australians. It's not like we eat babies or anything. It's just pineapple on pizza. And it's called the Hawaiian. Hey Richard. Hey, g'day, yes. Looks like we've got Nicole Rossi in here too. It's really active tonight, isn't it? With a lot of people here that we haven't seen for a while. Basil, no, you should just be very happy that she's an understanding person and tolerates your bigotry towards pineapple pizza. Kangaroos don't eat babies, they drown them. Now, that's a terrible thing to say, but in actuality, one of the kangaroo's more effective defense mechanisms is, not ironically, but is to take whatever's trying to attack him, say a dog or something like that, get him into a bit of a headlock scenario, and then find the nearest waterhole. And they're quite good at it, very good at it, in fact. No, I don't have a problem with kangaroos doing that per se, because yeah, they're just defending themselves. It's just interesting that it's a technique that they have. I mean, don't get me wrong, kangaroos can be absolute jerks, especially big reds. But a lot of the time when you see stuff happening on YouTube videos, someone's probably instigated the drama. Fatigued, that, damn it. It's too late, buddy, you're fatigued, you gotta go. Kangaroos have little T-Rex arms. Yeah, sort of. But they're strong as. You seen a western red kangaroo when they, when they flex? They are seriously muscular. And of course, beyond the big red, there is the terrifying living dinosaur we have up here, known as the cassowary. And you do not want to mess with the cassowary. The cassowary will disembowel you with a raptor claw. Like, you know, you see on, what was that show, Jurassic Park, and they talk about raptors and their claws. Well, the cassowary bird, it's a bird, yes, basically is in possession of a raptor claw. Hey, that actually bound onto the thing, but it's not good enough yet. I need more balls. Got it, chicken, it got you. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And unlike a lot of other wildlife myths, the cassowary has killed quite a number of people, certainly other animals on a regular basis. It's not like they go out of their way to try and find, you know, something to gut. It's just, again, it's a case of that's how they defend themselves. It's a bit like snakes, you know, people think snakes are out to attack them, but they're not. But if you do get in their way and inhibit them from finding their way to what they feel is a safe spot, then yeah, they'll do what they have to do. Ach, nee, man. Damn it. Solder paste on the board. One thing I really love watching, or not reading, it on the local snake catcher group, or snake identification page rather, is the sheer number of people who post photos of them holding a snake and saying, "What snake is this?" And it's like, you don't want to live. You are in Australia, which you probably boast yourself to your friends overseas as being a country of extremely deadly animals, and you go along and pick up a snake without knowing what it is, and then ask, "Hey, what's the snake?" It's like, more people need to die from that sort of stupidity, in my opinion. One the other day, someone picked up, it was a cute snake, don't get me wrong, a cute little baby death adder. Yeah, that thing bites you, sure it's a baby, but that thing bites you, that's it, you're doomed. Or at least you're going to have a very bad day. The other one is when people, of course, are adamant that they do know a snake by its colour or whatever, which is a very bad idea. You take the Australian eastern brown snake, which is probably the most common that people will encounter that can kill them, and it comes in a massive variety of colorations, but people are adamant that they go, "No, I know the snake, I know the snake, I know what it is." Most of the time when people post things, you get about 90% of the people saying it's an eastern brown, and it's not. But then when they do post an eastern brown, half of them are going the other way. They're like, "Oh, it's a carpet python," or "It's a keelback." Keelback's a interesting snake in that it's one of the few that can eat a small number of toads, cane toads, and not die from it. In the US, got coral snake versus king snake. Oh yeah, I know that one. Yeah, slightly different coloration bandings, and people still get it confused. It's a bit like with people trying to work out how to tighten nuts and stuff like that, you know. Was it lefty loosey, righty tighty, stuff like that? And still people mix it up because they'll go lefty tighty, righty tightier. Most dangerous wild thing in the UK is a hedgehog. Imagine if people run into those, that would be a problem. Rattlesnakes, yeah, at least they let you know most times. What happened to an L? He probably ran off and had a date with a dump truck again. I shouldn't mock. Uh, that, the fact, I just can't get over the fact that he got run over by a truck, and also the fact that he survived, and that he survived relatively, I wouldn't say unscathed, but he certainly survived better than I would have anticipated. So, by all means, by all measures, it's an impressive outcome for him. I think, I mean, I don't want to talk too much about his personal sort of thing, but I think it probably did have some lasting, well, it should have some lasting psychological effect on him. I would dare say, yeah, there's probably a lot of things to work through. I mean, we can laugh about it and such, but more than likely it's probably quite a bit of a task to come back from that. I'm just getting this transistor MOS, well, it is a transistor actually, it's not a MOSFET. When I say transistor, to be fair, MOSFETs are transistors, but in common terminology, when we say transistor alone, we are usually referring to a BJT transistor as opposed to a MOSFET transistor. When we talk about MOSFETs, we say MOSFET. And I was back with Lewis, okay, because I know he was off with Tim for a little bit. Ah. Black Mamba standing up on the tip of his house scares. Yeah, they would be. What else have we got to fix? Oh yeah, the ISL. Too much time waffling away here, and we forgot that we still have an ISL to fix up. Let's get rid of this somewhat useless piece of plastic. So if the ISL, we've got this capacitor here, which is a bit shonky, and then we've got some damage up here. Keith, I would never swear on Afrikaans. I don't even know what Afrikaans is. Anyway, as it is now, I'm not swearing. I'm exclamating. It's a perfectly publicly acceptable exclamation. That said, if you do have to swear, then Afrikaans is a beautiful language for it. You don't even have to understand it to know that you're basically being ripped a new one. It's up, they spent all those years in the relative isolation, being hated by everybody, the British and, well, everybody, and perfecting their art of insulting people with nasty words. My Afrikaans is getting very weak now because I really, it's been 20 years since I was over there. And what you don't use, you lose, for the most part. Unless it's money. Yeah, I knew there was corrosion hiding there somewhere. Hey Wavy, you're in Townsville. Oh, okay. Whereabouts in Townsville are you? I was supposed to go there last week. I didn't. Is it still raining over there at the moment? Everybody's starting to get scared, worried they're going to have a repeat of 2 years ago. A repeat of their once in 100 years type flooding. Where are you? Let's see. North Shore. Oh, okay, that's out in Dirrigan area. It was quite crazy for me to go out to North Shore recently, about last year I think it was, for the first time. Because I used to go out to Dirrigan a fair bit. But then, yeah, I saw there was like North Shore Bunnings there and North Shore this, and I thought, what the heck? That's a major development from the last time I was there. It used to just be scrub and horses, and maybe a few hippies. Raining so badly. Back of your property lies a creek where it has... Ah, okay. What creek's running in the back? I know the Blue Water area fairly good. And we used to go fishing there a fair bit. Because, yeah, that's back in the 80s and 90s. Paul falling back to his reminiscing days. Just like the old days. Yeah, Blue Water. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, I used to have a friend out there and they owned a horse stud out in that area. I wonder if they still have it. I should find out. But it used to be such a trip to go out to Blue Water. You know, people are like, oh, right, fine, we'll go out to Blue Water. It's going to take half a day or something like that. Yeah, it's 15 minutes. Now it's a case of it's another suburb. I gotta say, I was pretty shocked by what they'd done with the Bowley area. The fact that it's just turned into this massive housing estate area. I couldn't believe it when I drove through there. Honestly felt like I was just driving through some part of Brisbane like Browns Plains or something like that. Saunders Beach. How far is that from where you are? Because that's where we used to camp out a fair bit. But yeah, as you know, I'm stuck here in good old Charters Towers. Yay! Personally, I'd rather be living back in Townsville for a number of reasons. But I mean, yeah, Charters Towers is good, but it does have its quirks as well. Not least of which is the Burdekin River in the next 2 or 3 days is probably going to get flooded at the bridge. Means I'm going to be left isolated with no packages. I don't care so much about the isolation, I care about the fact that I won't get packages. Right, we obviously are not going to leave that there. We're going to have to put some flux down, heat this up a bit, and give it another poke. There's a pizzeria at Saunders Beach. What the hell? Only a 20-minute drive. Gee. It used to be, once you went past the Yabulu, that heavy road bridge that goes over the highway just past the Yabulu petrol station. It was like once you got past that, went through that bridge, it was like that was it. You were now officially out of the towns or region. Something just popped. Do Zoom meetings. Ew, I don't want to do meetings. Why would I do meetings? Sounds like the worst thing in the world. Anyway, so yeah, I may be out in Charles Towers, but I am at heart a Townsville boy. Lived in Railway Estate most of my life, which of course would. Do you know? Do you know that weird double roundabout on Queens Road at Railway Estate, just before you get over the river, or just after you go over that little river estuary area? Anyway, that's about where I grew up. Yesterday the rain reached up to the background 4 meters higher. I don't see it stopping. Yeah, the pop noise kind of sounded like a chip crack, didn't it? Well, let's hope the people at Adalia have got their insurance sorted out again. Lest they, again, get flooded. The creek, there's a couple of names for it. It was either Little Ross Creek or Sandy Creek. I knew it as Sandy Creek. Before they had the double roundabouts there, you basically had to wait for the tide to be right, or hope that the tide wasn't too high if you wanted to cross over. But that would flood pretty much every single time we had a decent amount of rain. Like, yeah, there's Queensland houses all around there on their 6-foot stilts, and we would often have the water lapping under those stilts, under the floorboards a little bit. But you kind of got used to it. It was just like, oh yeah, that's what happens. It wasn't nice. You didn't like it, but you did. It was just like, yeah, this is what happens. I hope I put that ISO on the right place. When I say right place, I just mean in terms of pin 1 area. Okay, yeah, pin 1's good. Alright, that's it. I think we're ready to see if this thing even boots. Get a suitable MagSafe for this. I really am turning into an old person, aren't I? I mean, give me a chance and I'll start getting all nostalgic about the things I did as a kid back in the day. And I'm not even 50 yet. I mean, I'm not far off, but I'm not 50 yet. Got to stop selling myself older than I am. I think I'm just feeling it because of how dragged out this whole house scenario is, and the fact that I've basically spent the last 20 years trying to correct certain bad decisions. Like, where did I put my MagSafe container? It's probably not here. It's probably on the other side of the room because I didn't put it back where it belongs. Yeah, well, okay, I'm not going to go back to during the war because fortunately I was never in any of that. That I am very thankful for. Let's see. Yeah, war. Growing up, it was certainly a major concern. Like, we'd always be, you'd hear on the news about the Cold War and all that sort of stuff, and you'd be worried that one day you'd just wake up to a nuclear holocaust. As a kid, you find it difficult to process as a kid, so your fears kick in a fair bit. Next I'll be watching Days of Our Lives. No, I'm more cultured than that. I'll be watching Young and the Restless. Did you have to go to college to be a repairman? No, I didn't. I went to college, well, I went to university to learn computer engineering, computer systems engineering, which is really electronics, but more focused on microcontrollers and things like that. And I also did computer science, which is basically math. Yeah. And you would do a little bit of programming, and you'd learn some languages, but most of the time when you're learning those things, it was more to, pardon me, it was more to give you the tools to be able to test or experiment with ideas that you might develop when you say in your postgrad, and you want to say try out a new scheduling formulas or new graph theories. When I say graph, I'm not talking about like drawing on the screen graph. I'm talking about the interconnect of data, sequences, things like that. So you learn the programming and all that more as a kind of like learning how to write so you can become a poet or something like that. Cybertrekker, you're a young guy. You're 60, I'm 64 next week and live in Seniors Village in Tassie. You're not in Grindelwald, are you? I did look at the Seniors Village in Grindelwald. I quite liked it. I reckon there's something really wrong with this connector. It's giving me hell lately. I think I've zapped it a few too many times. Fan spin. Oh, gotta wait for the green blink now. Greg, how old are you now, Greg? Sort of pegged you for around about 55, but obviously not. JCT, yeah, my boss and a lot of his friends, they were all forced into that war. So we got an agreement, we're up and running, but I suppose what we need to do now is put it back in the chassis, make sure it charges the battery. 65, I was only a decade off. Eureka Claremont Gardens Village. Oh, right, okay. It's just when we were down there and we were in Grunewald, Launceston, we did see the Swiss retirement village. I thought it was quite interesting. Yeah, okay. I think I can get away with putting this in without sullying up this person's chassis. I'll find out if I get that wrong. MLS, which service do you use for your website domain? Yeah, blah blah blah. For the last, I think probably about a decade or so, have used Australian servers. I think Servers Australia, that's it. And you know, they might not have the cheapest or the fastest or anything like that, but they are Australian. They do respond very well to support requests. They've got some acceptable packages. I do wish they would provide a little more RAM. I think I'm still on pretty much the same plan they gave me a decade ago. And the same pricing. But I'm happy with it. As for content management, I just do everything by hand. As in, I write my own HTML pages, all that sort of stuff. I just manage the operating system myself. I don't need no stinking CMS to make things a mess for me. I can do it on my own. Nicholas Rossi, I wear gloves for two reasons. One is that, with flux and all that sort of stuff, it will permeate into your skin, and you don't really want that. The other is that you don't know what is in a person's machine. There are some truly vile and disgusting things that you can encounter when working on people's equipment. That sounded actually a little more innuendo-ish than I intended. Anyway, so it's for protection for me. There is a third reason, and that is, like if you're working on iPhones or screens and things like that, anything with, really, You don't want your fingerprint oil or anything like that getting onto the metal parts or the glass, because even if you don't see it, let's see, we get the iPhone plate here. Like if you put your bare finger onto the back of an iPhone plate or something like that, you may not see it initially, but in a few days or a week, it will start to corrode that metal in most cases, unless you have some sort of crazy elf that has no fingertip secretions of any kind. So I suppose you could summarize and say, 1, to protect yourself, 2, to respect your customer's equipment. It does feel a little bit awkward at first wearing the gloves, but after a while it becomes... You get used to it, and it actually becomes something that if you're not wearing gloves, you truly start to understand why you want to wear gloves. Because when you start feeling the various icky stickies and gunk on typical devices, you're like, give me my gloves, I want my protection. What's the weirdest thing you found inside your case? Well, plenty of bug infestations, absolutely. There was a bug infestation. It was German roaches, and that took me months to get rid of. Screen actually cannot be cleaned unless you... if you see people talking about getting Lysol to scrub off the screen on these MacBooks, this is what they're talking about. It's a coating that is on the screen, and it does this after a while, and you have to try and get rid of it, but it has to be etched off basically chemically. So, okay, I just noticed my power supply is not showing the correct power. Alright, that's hilarious. It's not showing the correct properties. It's weird. It's stuck there. And yet, it was correct. There we go. Okay, so we've got a good charge rate going on here, 3.4. Oh, good luck with the combo of ISO and water. Oh, from the ashes. Where have you been? ISO and water for the anti-reflective? Interesting. Yeah, Heavy, I haven't really been tracking that. With the earlier machine, because I was using USB-C, it wouldn't have mattered. But, okay, so we're 11%, we're charging at 3.5. That's right down the middle of where it needs to be, so that's good. So we get keyboard activity here. Come on, give me a 1502, yay! Probably too late, and probably a lot more difficult still here in Australia to get it to happen. Escape, cap locks, tab, left shift. Oh, okay, that's fine. Alright, keyboard's good. Command Q. Okay, we do not have... Oh, I know why we don't have a microphone, because it's not plugged in. Well, at least we know that's confirmed. Yeah, temperatures are good. Not that it's going to matter in this particular instance, because we are going to have to disassemble the heatsink off the board as we ultrasonic this afterwards. We're looking at 28, 29. Okay, 50 frame. Okay, so it's doing good there. Let's see what the about the Mac says. 8 gig, 2.6 i5, late 2013. Facecam works. Alright, so this is good and we fixed it. So in the end, yeah, we had that 3D3 cap missing and the corroded line, of course, which we hopefully have fixed. What I'll do is I'll put it through the ultrasonic and then I will inspect it again when it's all clear, and I'll see what sort of contact there is between the solder and that via. And then what I'll do is after that I'll cover it with the UV cure if I feel like it's okay. If I feel like it's a little bit too dubious, I will then just go and run the wire. As much as I don't want to run a wire, I would rather run a wire than have a dubious connection that I feel isn't going to hold up. Let's see. What else? Oh, and then we had that CPU thermal trip transistor would be replaced, and what else? Oh, and the ISL. So the ISL would have been preventing the battery charging properly. Would have been probably a bit intermittent because of the corrosion. I'm kind of curious why there wasn't a negative effect reported regarding the behavior with respect to the fact that the RTC chip basically had no decoupling there for that LDO output. Maybe it was being intermittent, but maybe they attributed it towards the charging issue. So yeah, maybe they sort of thought, well, the battery's not getting the power, and maybe it's not coming back in. But in fact, it was actually the RTC fault. I don't know. I mean, look, to be fair, the amount of current that's required out of that chip is very minimal. So if we have a look at it, so it's this one here. So the power coming out of here is not a lot's required. So it might have been able to get away with keeping it stable. Let's see. So what have we got? Okay, there's a couple of other 100 nanofarads on there. Let's see, next. And if you look at what its loads are, so you got 1 meg there, 330 there, and they are going straight into this PCH. And so the PCH itself is probably going to have very high impedance inputs. So effectively, you wouldn't be looking at more than a milliamp at most, maybe 2 milliamps being drawn out of that LDO. So it might have been able to remain stable on the latent capacity in the board. So we've got two 1 microfarads down here, though they are through 20k resistors. Even still, it would have eventually started to play up, I'm sure. Yeah, that's what I mean, Penlov. You know, it's sort of like there might have been enough like random bits of capacitance just on the board itself. The fact that it still had the 200 nanofarads in there. Yeah, just bits and pieces here and there that might have added up enough to keep it within the envelope. And there might have been a little bit of instability, but perhaps not enough to cause it to yet fail. But ultimately it would have. 10 microamps, yeah, there you go, see. I was only saying 2 just simply because I'm throwing out a big figure, and even 2... If you look at the capacitance and you look at the current, you see that you don't need a huge amount to maintain that without causing trouble. But ultimately, a lot of those local capacitors on the LDOs are for loop stability as opposed to the rail itself. You'll find that with a couple of common regulators, if you don't have the right capacitance on either side, the input and output, they'll get into a bit of a loop instability situation. It depends on the regulator. Yeah. 2 milliamp hour with depleted coin battery very quickly. Yeah, although this wasn't that sort of scenario. I was more meaning just like a conservative upper limit on in terms of estimating the stability of the LDO output as opposed to what it really would be. So Gadgets and Clink. Keep him busy and about to finish up for the night. I think. Yep. Alright, I'm out of here. Okay, that's it. Go do some coding, have some breakfast cereal, and then try to go to sleep. But chances are I'm just going to fire up Netflix or Disney and watch something. Who knows? Yeah, there. So yeah, so Penop just confirming what I was saying, that the cap there is for the LDO as opposed to the rail itself. But it's one of those things that it's where it's very good to know or to read the spec documents or the data sheet that comes with the regulators, because depending on the regulator, they'll either be very sensitive to that or not. So yeah, always read your spec sheets, your data sheets, and find out what your regulators need. Okay, I am out of here. No, I'm not watching The Mandalorian. I watched 3 episodes. It didn't really grab me enough, so I'm going to go and watch something else. I was kind of hoping that Killing Eve would be in a new season by now, but no such luck. Alright, I'm out of here. You all take care. I may see you tomorrow. Until then, I'll catch you later.